Good morning. Today, I want to share what is that one thing. If we are working on it, sometimes it is not what we do, it's what we think. And what we think is the questions. Here, I want to share what is the idea of it, which is focus question. The focus question is the question that you've been asking yourself throughout the day that will help yourself to improve to become better version of yourself. And focus question is very important because if we're asking a wrong question, we will get a wrong answer, and sometimes these answers limiting us in one way or another. And for example, the good focus question that we can have is how can I learn from this when you're doing mistake, when you're fail. Asking that question can bounce back from that mistake that you've made and to correct it and improve from there. So that's why it is very important. Instead of you, for example, if you're asking a wrong question, you can be asking question like, "Why this always happen to me?" You notice this question, switch yourself from person who has the power to change to a victim mindset. Now you are victim, then you think it is okay to not take action on it. So that's why focus action is important to always use it and only have the productive questions that we can ask every day so we can become better version of ourselves. And next, I want to share tips that I've learned. It is about rate of speech. Second thing is about volume, and the third one is about articulation. So for rate and volume, all these two things, we all have the base of it, the base rate, the base volume, and from there we have to varying it to pull people in, to get people attention. Because if we only stuck at the default, people can predict how you're going to sound next and their mind just tune out. Instead, if you keep varying, go loud all of a sudden, and you make it slower and low volume, that's where you pull people in. And what I want to do now is to, it's not now but throughout my day, I want to be able to be aware to use it, because I have all these theories, sometimes I didn't use it. And next, I want to share about articulation. So articulation is, it doesn't it means people can understand what you're saying. How to do that is to slow down. When we slow down, we articulate words by words in very clear way, and the most important thing is the end sentence of it. When we pronounce it clearly, people can understand it, but don't over pronounce it. But it's okay during training to over pronounce, to create a range. A range is that what we want. If we have all this range, we can varying it and it will become amazing. The practice that we can do to practice articulation is tongue twisters. Second thing is to read things quickly, and then slowing it down to see the changes impact on reducing the rate of speech on articulation. And the next thing that I want to share is things that we need to be aware of every day. When we want to be aware of these things, we can improve tremendously. And this is what I'm going to do throughout my day, is to focus on my filler words. If I say any filler words, I'm going to take note of it be aware of it. And the second thing, I want to replace my filler words with pause or inhale. So these two things we can use to replace our filler words. Because as I want to say filler words, I just do an inhale and think about the next thing, or just pause for people to understand or to digest things that I have said. And as a conclusion, I've shared about focus questions, how it is very important for us. When we have a correct focus question, we can always, it's like correcting yourself from doing that mistake to back to the way it started, so you can think clearer, choose a different route, a route that's gonna bring you to success. And the second thing is I've talked about things I've learned is about rate of speech and volume. We want to varying it so we can pull in people attention. And the third one is I share about things that we can do right now and throughout the day to monitor ourselves, to pay attention to these 2 points. The first one is notice any filler words. Second thing is replace filler words with pause or inhale. And I want to add one more to that, is to increase volume. Let's have a high base volume so it will appear more confident and we can vary it more.